I hope that for the last 2 weeks you have enjoyed the program and the information that we have documented so that you will have some ability to research the truth. But these last 2 weeks, we're going to discuss the history with an analysis of the man, Mr. Carl Matthews. And we're very blessed and honored to have him present to discuss it. We don't have to deal with hearsay information. Mr. Matthews left Winston-Salem sometimes in the year 1960. Is that right, Carl?
Correct.
And he went to New York City. He stood on a platform as an honored speaker and guest with the then President of the United States, Dwight David Eisenhower. Richard Nixon was the Vice President, Henry Cabot Lodge, the Governor of New York, Nelson Rockefeller. And he was honored as one individual responsible for the greatest effort in the sit-in movement. Carl then began to speak at rallies throughout the country, up and down the East Coast, on behalf of the sit-in movement. But there are some things that we're going to discuss today that maybe some of us do not know, but at the same time, we want to get into the best of all of this. Carl, start from leaving Winston, going into New York. Did you have a bad taste in your mouth after the events with the NAACP?
Well, I wanted to say hi to you.
Brother, I tell you,
Yes.
I'm just enjoying being here.
Well, on leaving Winston-Salem, first I'd like to thank God, from whom all blessings flow. And I would like to say this because you want to know what sustained the man. I have a fear of God inside of me. I fear God. I fear the God that brings the rains, that brings the storms, that brings the tornadoes, that brings the hurricanes. I fear the God that makes the earth tremble. I fear the God that raises rulers and overthrows kingdoms. And I fear the God that looks favorably upon truth. This is the reason why we're here now in the pursuit of truth.
Mm-hmm.
And if it can happen to me, if this type of thing can happen to me, then it can happen to anyone out there in the listening audience, unless we put the fear of God in the unrighteous.
Well, we don't want to lose our relationship with our Supreme Being.
No, we cannot.
And so disobedience affects that relationship.
So right, so true.
Why did you neglect yourself, Carl, throughout the history? Why did you take yourself through the suffering? You know, as I was reading your book, you were speaking places, you were raising thousands of dollars, and you yourself was doing without.
Well, it wasn't voluntary. It wasn't a voluntary thing. I was doing without because no assistance came my way.
Mm-hmm.
During the time that I was speaking, I spoke at many rallies, and I had holes in my shoes.
Right.
There was one time I became so hungry. Well, I was call it hungry.
Hungry.
Yeah. Until I ate some chewing gum wrappers in my pocket because I didn't have any money. Now, I had spoke on several occasions in New York City for the NAACP. And they had sold-out audiences. When I went to these places, they said, all we can afford to do is to give you your expenses, which was across town, and give me a plate of food, the take back to my $12.50 hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
I showed them my situation and told them my situation.
Mm-hmm.
But always the money was to go to some faraway place, and never one dime, not an honorarium, in raising $5,000 at different events, not one penny honorarium. And I did this for a couple of times, and then I was sent for to come to Philadelphia. This time I had a letter in my hand to substantiate what was going down. I accepted the invitation and went to Philadelphia, and I spoke there, and people were crowded all around the walls. No more seats left. I spoke there, they gave me my expenses back to New York and a plate of food to bring with me. Now, this was the last straw. I said, no more will I be used, and they sent me a letter thanking me for the wonderful presentation and the success that they had raised the money, and that this money would go down south to the students. Mm-hmm. And whenever people had called me for a speaking engagement, mm-hmm. I never reneged on a speaking engagement because of the fact that I figured that some of the assistance would get somewhere to some of the students who were protesting and who still had not seen victory. Meanwhile, I had been victimized by the contemptuous viciousness, jealousy, and hatred which dwells and festers within certain black circles. Black-on-black racism, a worse virus than Ebola. Mm-hmm. It's a worse virus than the virus AIDS. Black-on-black racism. The backbiters, the hate mongers, the great deceivers, and the corrupt politicians, they had all aligned themselves together, united against Carl Matthews.
And by Governor Rockefeller and the president and the vice president at that time inviting you to speak before that large crowd of people in Harlem, New York, that inflamed that class of people and their actions towards you.
Many people became inflamed. Mm-hmm. Most of the ministers, mm-hmm. they contacted Governor Rockefeller and wanted to know, why didn't you invite one of us to share the platform with the president? Mm-hmm. Governor Rockefeller thought it would be an honor to the black community to invite me to share the platform with the president. Mm-hmm. So he didn't know that he would run into any opposition. And he told some of the leaders, said, this man has helped to change this nation. What he has done, it will never go back to where it was before. So I thought it would be an honor. But they were angry with the governor. They were angry with everybody in his party because he had not invited them. And the governor said, well, you know, with all due respect, none of you have done what this man has done. And I thought you would be overjoyed. But the jealousy, mm-hmm. the jealousy involved, mm-hmm. is something that they were not able to overcome.
Now, when you left Winston-Salem, did you have a bad taste in your mouth about the situation? After
Yes.
the battle with the local people in the NAACP, it seems to me from reading the articles in the newspaper at the library, it's as if they thought you were trying to take something from them, but they were on the take, as life has made manifest.
Well, the problem is that I wouldn't take anything.
I see.
In other words, I had become the Serpico of the civil rights movement. Mm. And the people in the listening audience who are not familiar with Serpico, he's a law enforcement officer from New York City who refused to take any money. And as a result, they shot him up threatened him, he had to leave the country. Because him not taking money posed a threat on all who were taking money. I could never, not under any circumstances, accept any money when we were all putting our lives on the line. I'd like to mention this, that during the sit-in movement, there was one occasion when we marched, fasted, and prayed for 3 days and 3 nights around the clock. We marched until we had blisters and sores on our feet, and we didn't take any food or any liquids. Any one of us could have been killed or maimed or injured at any given time, but those thoughts didn't deter us, for God was with us. Mm-hmm. And how could anybody sell these type of people out and take money? And these people's lives were on the line. No, I could not do that. And I think that anyone who could do that is lower than the filth at the bottom of the sea.
Carl, why has your efforts been covered? Who covered it? Who do you think consented? Because this is a governmental, well, let's just say it's upon the consent. Who do you think consented to ignore your efforts with respect to it not being publicized? You know, every year, Black History Month, you only see the 4 guys from, and Diane Nash, Bevel, I think. They're the only ones that are invited to speak, the ones from Greensboro. But they never have invited you to speak, and then your history is not recorded. Who do you think produced that?
Well, I think that the black leaders, mm-hmm, who were afraid of some of the things that I had to say. And I know that the NAACP had a great influence on this effort. Mm-hmm. In fact, the NAACP gave me an award, and they named everybody who had received an award and left my name out. After all these years, I had received a historical award, and when the paper came out, everybody who received an award, their names was presented in the newspaper. My name was eliminated.
Carl, hold a minute, I understand. Go ahead, caller. Thank you very much. Speak up, please.
Okay, I just wanted to just make a couple of comments, and I think Mr. Carl Matthews should be commended for all of the efforts that he's made over the years, and that even though he may feel that some people are not supportive of his efforts, that some young people are supportive, and I'm one of those younger persons. But I just wanted to say that I think that problem that he's talking about is very prevalent in the city of Winston-Salem. In particular, we do have that problem of that enviness, that jealousy throughout the community, particularly black on black racism, as he stated earlier. And one thing that I just wanted to share that I try to do where I am in my position, period, is that we just have to continue to try to bond together with those individuals who do have the right spirits of trying to work together and try to better what we need. I wish that our leadership was a little better when it comes from the African-American perspective in this city. A lot of times people get tired and they just say they just don't want to be involved because they see so much of the negativeness projected through the political arena and then throughout the different clubs in society, in our community. And I think some people just opt to not even be involved because of that. And I, for one, I can appreciate his frustration to a degree. And I just want to commend him on all of the efforts that he's had and the things that he's tried to do, and that somebody is looking at him and his work is not going undone.
Thank you very much, Carl. And keep watching AAP Magazine. Carl, the victory is yours anyway. Praise be to Allah. The work has been done, and it will be revealed. And you are here to reveal it What is your understanding? What wisdom have you gained from all this foolishness? Has integration been progress or regret?
Well, I think it's been a little bit of both.
Okay.
You know, there are many
Yeah.
things that people who have understanding can regret about the civil rights movement. And I think that the regret comes in because the wrong people were able to manipulate people and be elected to positions of responsibility. Because many people are not supposed to be invested with the type of responsibility that they have because they don't reach out to the people. And this was a people movement. So the regret comes in that in many cases, the wrong people have been put in positions of power. But that can be changed.
Now, can you see the 36 years of sacrifice, the greatest reward being the impact that it has had on me? I think we have enough information to come to a judgment about all of it. You know, there's some people that, you know, we need to go pick up, and there's some people we need to let go.
Well, you know, we live in a...
You have survived the, you know, when you have self against self, you have to be mighty strong to survive that. You
well,
know?
black on black racism, it is a virus that is one of the most terrible viruses that one can have. I'd like to tell you something. You know, I stood up for freedom, justice, and equality. I put my life on the line for freedom, justice, and equality. And the black community blackballed me as a result. Now we take Governor Wallace. He stood against everything that I stood for. He stood up to keep freedom, justice, and equality away from the masses of people, and especially the black people. But hey, black people went to the polls and voted Governor Wallace in with the highest margin that they had ever voted a person in. So in other words, we hate those that love us, and we love those that hate us.
Carl, we got a caller. Go ahead, caller, speak up. Thank you very much for calling.
Yes, my question is for Carl Matthews.
Speak up, and we'll hear your question.
Okay, my question is for Mr. Matthews. My question is, why do you think the black-on-black racism is as bad as it is, and what do you think it comes from? And that's my question.
Thank you very much, caller. Go ahead, Carl. Did you hear the question?
Where does black on black racism come from? Is that...
And why does it... pardon me, caller? Oh, he's hung up. Yeah. Why do you think it exists, and why does it come?
It comes because of jealousy. It comes because of envy. It comes because people who have not contributed, they have not sacrificed, they don't know what it is to sacrifice. So the people who have sacrificed, they try with all of their efforts to keep these people down because there's no margin of equity. When you've got a man that has put his life on the line and you've got another person that hasn't put anything on the line, there are more of those who have put nothing on the line than there are those who have sacrificed for freedom. So they will try to keep you down so that your voice will not be heard because they know that your voice being heard will excel theirs. So it's a matter of jealousy and envy.
Fear also? Fear
also.
of people who have money. In other words, they cater to those who have money and not to the supreme being.
Very true. Very true.
Carl, we got another caller. Go ahead, caller, speak up.
Yes, I have a question. I'm going to hang up and listen to your answer. Do you think Dole or Clinton person would be more beneficial in terms of the election this November? Thanks.
Thank you. Well, I like to say that AAP magazine will be beneficial as long as it's on the air. And whoever becomes elected president, I hope that they have the sense that Roosevelt had and go get them a brain trust of civilized black people. That's my statement. Carl, what would you like to say?
Well, at this particular time, I have not made up my mind which candidate would be the best candidate for the people. I never vote for a party. I look at the man, I evaluate the man, and I vote for the man. Now, if neither one of these show me anything before election time, then I imagine I will be a victim of apathy. I won't even go to the polls, you know, because, hey, there's not a lesser evil.
Yes, sir. Now, getting back to the reasons, your history is buried, but that's over with. What is the victory of all of this? They actually tried to bury you, and it wasn't their intention to make a sign, but they buried you the same number of years, if you put it in weeks, that it takes to bring about a new baby, 36 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I say, how great thou art. One man. Ladies and gentlemen, those of us here in Winston-Salem, Carl is shining on us and who we are. We should grow up and recognize who we are. Do I have a caller? Go ahead, caller. Speak up, please. You shining on us.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, caller. Speak up, please. Are you there, caller? Oh, okay. I lost my caller. Now, the ambition of those who opposed you exceeded their civil and civic and human responsibility, didn't it? And you just couldn't be two-faced. You couldn't take the students out and then, like you said, take money on one hand and then present another face to them. You just couldn't do that.
I could not become what I detested so much. I could not become the thing that caused me to go into the street to start the sit-in movement.
Mm-hmm.
I had to struggle to stay the way that I was. And the struggle is very difficult when we were going into the street and continue to go into the street, and we had so much opposition, but there was never a competition, not with money. The competition was keeping the movement going, keeping the people lined up and doing what they were supposed to do. And all praises be to God. We were able to do that.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say this to those of you who are in doubt about your person and who you say we are not and who you say I'm not. I'd like to say to you this: as bad as I am and as good as you are, I am as good as you are, as bad as I am. Good day, have a good day, every day. Thank you, Carl.
This wonderful thing in your book, the most important person who needs to know who I am is me. Wonderful.